Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward into another set of steps that we want to kind of cover in here. Like I said earlier, this software works a lot in masking, and so one of the things I want to show now, which I meant to show last video, was how we can use mask and some of the generators in here to quickly create a base material set. So let's go, and I have the wheels layer set selected. I've got nothing on the layers yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a rust into our object. So you can see what's going on here. Every one of these materials was created in Substance Designer, and they're all procedural based. So now that we have the rust on here, let's go ahead and add, let's just add an iron brush onto it. Let's just drag that up top. So one layer's on top of the other. You're getting some kind of push through in some of the aspects of it and some of the actual bumps and the texturing of it. And what we want to do is kind of push this a little bit further. So there's two ways you can look at it. Is it rusty or is it metal with rust? And it just kind of depends on which layer you put up top. You'll get different kinds of outcomes. But we start kind of splitting hairs at some point, at least from my experience. So first things first, let's add a white mask. It's a white mask, which means it's completely on. You know, white is on, black is off. And so what we can do here, if I switch this and invert our mask, now the rust is showing and the metal is not. So let's go ahead and just keep that in mind. So invert again. So in here, now that it has mask, I can do some things with it. I can't paint yet. I can paint, but it's not the paint that I want to do. I want to do something a little bit more controlled. And I want the software to kind of actually do some things, which is a weird thing for me to say if you know me. So what we're going to do here is just add a quick generator in here. This just kind of gives us a quick little way of using some of the masking techniques and procedures that they use in their software to kind of help build some variations between the layers, but above and below. Let's go right into the dirt one right here. Now you can start seeing some action happening here. Now if you look closely, you can see where all these maps that we were talking about come into play. All these different kinds of things right here come to play in this area right here. So how this geometry is playing with each other. That relationship is going to be related into the actual geometry spatial data, which is going to be into the actual input and all these images coming together, and that's what's helping us create these masks. So if we go in here, let's go ahead and just switch our layers out real quick, and I'm going to turn this layer off. I'm going to turn rust on, make this a white mask, and let's just basically repeat the same process so you can see kind of what's going on. So add the generator here, come in here and add dirt. Now we're kind of getting a play where the actual rust is coming in, where the actual metal is meeting, and that kind of actually makes a little bit more sense in terms of how the wear and tear would be if it was just sitting in place. Now coming into that direction, go in here and play with this actual dirt function. I'm in this actual properties menu, and in here we can actually get into how much the dirt's affecting it. It's level 1, and there's a dirt contrast. Start getting some little wear and tear. Just start getting nitpicky about how you actually view the materials that you see around you. This allows us to actually handle variations of the masking across different angles of the object. Go up to grunge a little bit so it looks more speckled. And as you can assume, you can sit here all day long and just start plucking away at this and start really kind of getting what you want out of it. Like I've said, I've been under the pressure on a project, and in doing so on this project, what would normally take hours in Photoshop to come up with this, I'm able to do just in a few clicks in this software. So they should give you an idea of what kind of fun this stuff really is. And here are the actual inputs giving us this detail: the curvature, ambient occlusion, the world space normal, and the position. All these things, all those maps got generated when we actually went through the texture set settings and banked our mesh maps. So we can go into this and go a little further. Now let's say we want to add a little bit more grunge. Let's say that the actual minecart has sat and has not been actually wheeled around, so the wheels have actually been getting some dirt. Now this is a trial run. I've done this once. I hadn't had a whole lot of success mimicking it, but we're going to do it anyway. So let's go ahead and add either a paint layer or a fill layer. I think I'm going to do a fill layer. And that's just kind of like adding another masking layer on top of it. It says grayscale. If I go white, you can see how it goes completely white and completely black. Just like this layer here. I see the layer still there. So what I want to do is I can probably play with the actual order of things and actually get a little bit more fun out of it. So the dirt and there's the fill. Now let's see if I can get the two together, just kind of test out. I don't think the fill's coming through too much, so we may have to swap that back up, but let's see what happens in here. Now I'm going to try this. Let's see, burn exotic. So the particles, I may have to actually put that on a different branch. Let's see what happens here. Nope. One way we can use is look at the particles brush. We should be able to paint right into this here. I may have to actually use a different mask for that. Let's see. Let's try, not fill. Try, no, it's not a generator. I'm not sure which one it is. I'll get this video to you guys again here in a little bit. Saw it quickly. I've used it once, but they've changed the UI so much. So I'll do a backup on that later on. But what I wanted to definitely show you guys is how you can actually use this generator in the mask tool. If I right click and go in here, you can see what's actually how the mask is working. And this is a lot of like what the things we've seen in Photoshop or in other softwares with the noise or the way we kind of fudge up the mask of an object and get some different areas in here. So just keep the things that we've been doing in Photoshop in mind when you're coming through here, and actually just kind of think about how we could layer all this stuff up. I have a pretty strong feeling this may work. Let's try to see if we can manipulate our sides again. So this is our steel. So add that another rust material in there because that's fun. So the rust is there, coming through just fine. Go in here so we can add a mask. In the mask, add another generator. The generator doesn't offer a whole lot of stuff, but it does give you some fun stuff to play around with. So we'll play with dripping since we're looking at. And now we kind of look like we've got a little bit of a splatter effect happening on our object. Of course, with all this rust, I'm gonna have to put it on this dragon scale. So I'm gonna do some more work on that before I get to that particular stuff, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a way for me to get into those nooks and crannies right there and make some really cool effects. But I want to make sure I show you guys before I dive in too deep. My favorite part of this is all the rust on here, and my gold caps are looking gorgeous still. This is good stuff. So don't forget to come in here, spreading. You can reduce or increase the amount of that mask and how well it's affecting, how much it's affecting the actual layer above it. So you can go real simple and real subtle. This contrast is, if you look closely, it's getting some tight. It's kind of like a clamp, and clamping in on the tightness of the white-black contrast, and so it takes basically almost towards a sharp, sharp, sharp image, and not a lot of blur, not a lot of grayscale happening at this point. As soon as it saves, I'll see if I can get you. Click on here. You can see what I'm talking about here. Uh-oh. There we go. So the grayscale kind of comes through on that, and that's what's causing that kind of blurriness when we're playing with the masking of the object. And if you think about it, a lot of this is actually moving just like you would think about exponents in like basically variables in a program. It's going from 0.1 to 0.9, and that's just talking about the degree of contrast between the white and black on these certain little areas. So have fun digging through here. I'll have more videos as I learn more stuff. Like I said, this tool moves very fast and it's very fun, so have a blast working with it. Alright, cheers.